My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're at the premiere of Bones and All, which is a film that's about love that blossoms between a young woman on the margins of society and a disenfranchised drifter as they embark on a 3,000-mile odyssey through the backroads of America. However, despite their best efforts, all roads lead back to their terrifying past and a final stand that will determine whether their love can survive their differences. So to start us off, here's Taylor Russell.
I was first introduced to the project through the director, Luca Guadagnino. I had just watched all of his TV series, We Are Who We Are, and loved it. And, as fate and luck would have it, he had reached out around the same time to have a meeting for this script that I didn't know about yet. And so the first meeting that we had was a FaceTime, and just getting to know each other. And then after that, he sent me the script, and I fell in love with it. My first reaction to the script was just that I had never read anything so unique, so loving, and strange as this story, and certainly nothing had come across my desk before like that. I knew it would be really special, and I loved the creative team a lot. So I thought, if I'm lucky enough to get in this movie in any way, then it'll be something I'll remember for a long time. The main themes of the film: loneliness, loss, love, of course, what we inherit from our ancestors, what we pass down, what we're trying to break cyclically in our lives, if it's possible to step out of a cycle and create a new one. And then there's, of course, themes that go beyond those sweeping ones, which are addiction and so many others. Today I've heard from people that I've talked to, about sexual violence and adoption and all these other things. So I think it kind of can, move into that, those different rivers. But yeah, there's a lot of themes here that feel very universal in the human experience. I think I would say that Marin is a person who's trying to figure out if she can be loved for who she is, and if there's a way to live that feels ethical, moral, sustainable, and also satiates the truth and core of her desires, and is also going through the brutality of becoming an adult. Timothy and I had almost done a few other projects together, so we were aware of one another and really wanted to work with each other, and were waiting for the right thing. And then this came up, and I knew that he was a part of it before I was. I think he was the only person attached to it, and so that was super exciting. And working together, I mean, we had, I think we both care a great deal, and we're both very, committed to exercising everything out that needs to be said on the day, and allowing what's there to move and change the tone of things, and not be so rigid about what it should be in any preconceived notions. So in that way, we work very similarly, which is always nice because it feels cohesive and fluid. But also both of us are, thinking about it 24/7. So it's never like, okay, we're not talking about it anymore, let's shut off. It's like, what about this? What about this? What about this? So yeah, I love working with him, and it just was, so inspiring and invigorating. Working with Mark Rylance was one of the greatest gifts of my career. In my young career thus far, he's one of the titans of stage and film, and all of my heroes look up to Mark Rylance, which I think says everything. He's unlike anybody else I've ever met, and he's been so unbelievably kind to me, so available, and such a mentor for me in my life, which is wild to even be able to say that. He's just so present when you're working with him, and really places safety and love and respect before anything else. So I just had a really beautiful, wholesome experience working with him, which is a really funny juxtaposition with these two characters, because maybe you wouldn't necessarily think that, because he's a wonderful actor and is very off-putting in the film, but that he's not that way in real life at all. Luca, to me, was the only director for this story. I can't speak to all the personal things happening in his life, although he has talked about it before. I think the power of intention is so strong, and this story meant something very specific to him, so whenever that is at play, it is drastically more impactful. At the same token, he is somebody who, in all of his films, has looked at his subjects with an unconditionally loving lens and gaze, and has tried to make them feel understood, and has leaned in a more empathetic light towards them. He knew that, the value in our human experience is that when things are really hard and we think we should cast people aside, is really when we should, open a circle to them and say, what's going on, can we understand a little bit more? And that's definitely what I'm thinking about in my life, and what I've learned from working with him.
Next up are composers Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
We've always been big fans of Lucas, and we got wind that Lucas was working on this film and was interested in us as composers, and said, yes, of course, let's please have that meeting. And we'd not met Luca before this, and of course it was on Zoom because of the pandemic, but we met somebody that we immediately felt a connection to, that was approaching this material with a very interesting take, and knowing what he's capable of, we were intrigued to see where he would take this material and how he would infuse his vision into this story. And we were not disappointed. This was truly one of the most interesting and inspiring projects we've worked on, and the experience has been unmatched.
Our initial reaction to the script was interested, but it was seeing how Luca had transformed that script on the first cut that we received that really I can't overstate what an experience the first viewing of Bones and All. It was a multi-hour cut, no music at all apart from the needle drops, and it was the start of a journey for us where we became incredibly invested in this project, and without sounding corny, fell in love with the characters and the collaboration with Luca?
When we first spoke with Luca, he described that he was filming us in an understated way on film, that the Midwest was going to be a character in the film, that he wanted the music to be a character in the film. He didn't want the music to overpower the film, and that most importantly, this was a great romance and a tragic love story, first and foremost. And he also mentioned maybe something like an acoustic guitar, maybe, could provide a beautiful melody that reveals itself over the course of their love. And that was plenty of seeds of information for us to start to work. And that's before he'd ever picked up a camera, before filming even started. So we started working on these themes very early on, just to see what might resonate with him, or how we could start to build this into a tangible place and sound. Jump ahead to seeing that first cut after filming was completed, very long cut. We were so overwhelmed with what the story had become and the emotional resonance of it. We knew exactly what we needed to do to properly score the rest of the film and then flesh it out. And it was it's just a very rewarding experience with unexpected emotional kind of resonance to it. You know, we really felt connected to the characters, the loneliness of the characters, the desperation of the characters, the beautiful finding of each other, and it really struck a chord with us, and it was a real pleasure to be involved in this project.
Well, the balance between the romance and the horror, I'm taking a second because they interweave in a way that's incredibly unexpected and simultaneously incredibly important to the story. Our focus was the tragic love story. And I think when we say tragic love story, that's an oversimplification of what the film embodies. Because I think through these interviews today, I've been thinking, I think that there are these universal themes that we all experience as human beings that are encapsulated in this movie. And maybe that's part of why we were so connected to the characters and felt such a responsibility in terms of the score. The acoustic guitar can be a beautiful instrument, and it can also be an ugly one, placed in the right landscape. That was really the glue. So even the more horrific scenes, like Sully's theme, it's rooted in an acoustic guitar that becomes swamped with perversion and menace. The kind of ending scene, which is possibly the most horrific, we'd been so involved with the film by the time that we did that it's actually one performance of us improvising over maybe an hour or so, knowing what the picture was, but closing that off and just getting lost, not to sound ridiculous, but getting lost in the music, and then editing that into what that final scene, leading into the song. But it truly is one performance.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to the cast of Bones and All talk about the film. The film is set to be released worldwide on November 18th, so head to the theater to check it out. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.